have sacrificed everything for a real greater good by exposing real corruptions, by whistleblowing first-hand knowledge. And it cost me everything, leaving me where I am today. What have you done to be able to look down on me as my equal or greater?
Hello, today is November 22nd, 2020, and the time is 10:56 a.m. I've talked extensively over the years about the beta and omega types as well as the alpha types. And a lot of people don't like talking about this, especially in today's world where everyone has been given the same social status under the guise of equality. And I've said the more ambitious ones obtain various positions of authority. And this is not to say or imply all in those positions are beta and omega types. But where we do see an example of this, and again, this is not an opinion, theory, or belief, or want by myself. It's an observable fact that can be tested. Where we see this, for example, is one, how everyone says, well, I have the right to, say, do whatever. And the other part is when we see, for example, laws being implemented saying that, yes, everyone has the right. And we see, for example, standards for any type of position being lowered to accommodate what I just said. And that is a real big problem. And this ties in with the cycles of civilization, the beta and omega types. And I'm not saying anything for or against beta and omega types. I'm just simply stating a reality that we all live in and share. And this segues into, actually, I'm going to be quoting Devin Stack. He mentioned the silent majority. And he said the silent majority pats themselves on the back for doing nothing. And it's so true. And a lot of people will either, for example, divert that responsibility or make a claim, like the silent majority, that they're waiting for the right time, or there's a plan, somebody out there has a plan, or whatever. And we can even see this with, for example, religions, where people divert the responsibility and pray. Now, I'm not taking anything away from prayer at all. However, I've also said plenty of times, many people talk about the spiritual and say the spiritual is more important than the earthly. People forget, though, if this is true, then their world wouldn't be as it is, and there would be no reason to be here. So the point being with that, as it ties in, is people can't divert responsibility. People have to take the initiative. They have to do something, because what we do in life echoes for eternity. And I've mentioned this over the years as well, and even in recent videos. Now, I'm not stating or implying, that physical confrontation is a must. Not at all. Physical confrontation is the last resort, unfortunately. And what the majority of the population is up against are those who have the monopoly on violence. And a lot of people have been socially conditioned to divert the responsibility, the job that they have to do for their own safety, for their own peace and enjoyment of life, their survival, their prosperity, onto the ones who have the monopoly on violence. And a lot of people who are part of those who have the monopoly of violence may very well accept, or believe is a better word, that they're doing the right thing. And there's a conflict there. Now, I've shown plenty of articles regarding Supreme Court rulings where the police have no obligation to protect or even serve the population, which really has to make you wonder, well, what's their role? A lot of people default to, well, they work for us. The government works for us. Any authority type works for the people. We don't see that even with, for example, court rulings where innocent people are convicted of, usually, for example, through some sort of social pressure or for the benefit of governing bodies. And it's unfortunate. And I've shared plenty of articles where people have said more than 50%. It's like 70 something percent. But I always say, because I can't remember exactly how much, I always say more than 50% of people convicted of anything are innocent, which is really telling. And then when we see, for example, laws based on social justice and whatever narratives that are being presented by governing bodies, for example, coming out, turning, again, innocent people into criminals over as a descriptive an agenda, we are spinning out of control. For example, law has become like theoretical mathematics, neither of which have a basis in reality anymore. And practical sciences have been confused with their liberal arts, theoretical pseudosciences, and these sciences have become dominant. People don't see that. People need to take the time to really step back and take a look around at, look around at how the world is and the direction that we're heading. Unfortunately, we're beyond the point of no return to fix anything. A lot of people want to hang on to this civilization, not asking, well, what is really so valuable about this civilization that is worth salvaging? What people are afraid of is a time before a new equilibrium is established. And I get that. People are scared. Fear of the unknown. A lot of people are consumed by this, and it's scary. So a lot of people will then default to, for example, being the silent majority, hoping somebody else will come along and do something. But by then it's too late. And it'd be too late, say, for example, with current events, by the time the people who are accepting current events, when they realize what's really going on, what has happened, because this is going to be sometime in the future, it's too late. And I've said in recent videos even how people today look back throughout history. I'm going to use an example: tyrannical governing bodies, and it exists today in this today's world too, certain countries. And people, they shake their heads going, how did the people let that happen? Well, people were convinced that there was a greater good or something. And I'm not saying anything for or against whatever the reasons might have been or are for certain governing bodies to take certain positions, or even certain groups. They're basing whatever it is, their decisions, for example, or agendas, based on something. Now, I'm also not stating that there's not an opportunity for abuse of any of this, but anyway, I'm digressing here. When we look at, say, current events today, how everything's unfolding, and I've mentioned in previous videos how I referenced the story of the World War II, how the mother turned in her own son, and I made a personal reference to that with regards to my mother. And I'm not saying anything bad about my mother. It is what it is, and it does hurt. And as I've said in other videos, on personal vlog videos, that I still do love my mother despite everything. I wish her well, and I do pray for her every day. But a lot of people are in the same boat as myself, realizing that, friends and family, whatever other people's stories are that they've shared with me, they see their friends and families becoming part of the majority. And when you compound all what's going on with current events and false narratives, false accusations, for example, that have become so rampant, skyrocketed in the past 10 years, resulting in so many innocent people being accused and even convicted, having to spend lives in jail. And I've mentioned stories of Stephen Avery, and there's the other one, Daniel Holtzclaw, and there's documentaries on both. This is what the world has become. People like myself simply just want to live our lives, get through life, deal with whatever personal things that we might have to deal with, in our own minds or in our own lives. People just want to, have the opportunity to enjoy life and everything else. And people like myself simply just want to live our lives, get through life, deal with whatever personal things that we might have to deal with, in our own minds or in our own lives. People just want to, have the opportunity to enjoy life and everything else. And people like myself simply just want to live our lives, get through life, deal with whatever personal things that we might have to deal with, in our own minds or in our own lives. People just want to, have the opportunity to enjoy life and everything else. And people like myself simply just want to live our lives, get through life, deal with whatever personal things that we might have to deal with, in our own minds or in our own lives. People just want to, have the opportunity to enjoy life and everything else. And people like myself simply just want to live our lives, get through life, deal with whatever personal things that we might have to deal with, in our own minds or in our own lives. People just want to, have the opportunity to enjoy life and everything else. And there's a handful of people in the world that don't see what evils, as a descriptive, that they're doing to everyone. And a lot of these people, as I've said in a previous video, they don't see their wickedness, how evil they are, what they're doing. They think that they're doing the right thing, and this whole mindset trickles down through various positions of authority. But the ones on very top, there's something wrong with them, because they want to control everything and micromanage everything. And the majority of the population is just handing it over blindly, which I just don't get. I get when we talk about the beta and the mega types and the lesser, who again lack critical thinking skills and extensive knowledge base and cannot separate emotions when forming conclusions. I get these people can't do for themselves, and again, that's why the types of government sought today are needed, because these people can't do for themselves. They want to, they couldn't be bothered to invest the time, for example, to look into current events. They just want everything to be handed to them, because everything's all rushed. And in this social conditioning about proficiency of time and everything else, you got to think people just divert everything. They have all this extra time, and what do they do with their extra time? But watch TV, watch movies, listen to music, sports, all this other stuff, distractions, because they have too much time. And this ties in with the age of decadence. Too much time. We have an abundance of time. We have an abundance of resources. We have an abundance of everything, despite what, for example, official narratives may state. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of tie in everything with my recent videos and kind of just pull it all together in this one video. And everything is connected. Every single topic from, I'm going to use two descriptives, the earthly and the woo. It's all connected and everything in between. And you cannot see the bigger picture until you start examining, when we look at the earthly, which would encompass governing bodies and events and all this other stuff, fiat currency, and I've noticed there's a big push, especially over the past half decade, for digital currency. And everyone's really pushing all this, forgetting that it's just another form of fiat currency. It is actually, when you think about it, it's fiat currency times 10, because fiat currency, the base, I'm not going to get into too much about this. I might do a video if enough people in the comment section ask. But fiat currency draws its value from money that's created out of thin air, and that's why there's inflation, because the money that's already in circulation depreciates, and that's why the prices keep rising more and more. And when you look at current events and how it's completely crippled not only the economy of each country, but the worldwide economy, it's just shattering everything. Anyway, just things to think about. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.